panic or patience, we got to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. We have to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals, guys, right now got their first win of the season last week versus the Carolina Panthers. Last five seasons, 4 of them, they started 0-2. If you count this season, they've done 5. So 5 of the last 6, they've started 0-2. Now, they kind of had a get-me-right game versus the Carolina Panthers. And to be honest, they looked halfway decent against the Commanders as well. So even though they are 1-3, is it time to panic in Cincinnati? Is it time to sell the farm? Is it time to shake up the cage? Now, when we look at the Commanders so far this season, week number 1, they lost to the Patriots. Nobody and their dog thought that was going to happen. In my Survivor Pick'em League, I had this as my lock for week 1, and I lost week 1. Then they lose to a close game to the Kansas City Chiefs. Everybody always steps up for the Chiefs, and then they played well versus the Commanders. Then they had a, quote, get right game versus the Carolina Panthers. Sitting 1-3 so far this season. But the next few weeks, they play teams like the Baltimore Ravens, New York Giants, Cleveland Browns, Philadelphia Eagles in the next 4 weeks. The Bengals should lose this weekend. Let's not get it twisted. The Ravens are a good team. They should lose this weekend to the Baltimore Ravens. They are one of the best teams in the NFL, and quite frankly, the Bengals are not. Now, they should beat the Giants, they should beat the Browns, and they should beat the Eagles the following weeks. So, guys, let's say they do not look well versus the Baltimore Ravens. Let's just play like complete dog poo-poo, and they get blown out 40-0, 40-6. Is it time to panic in Cincinnati? When I look at this, I try to think logically. Like, hey, they've been here before, they've done this, whatever, yada, yada, yada. But the truth of the matter is, it's time to panic in Cincinnati. It is 100% time to panic in Cincinnati. The reason why it is time to panic in Cincinnati is because they're not just losing games, they're not playing well. The chemistry is off. Joe Burrow just seems not himself. Jamar Chase, one of those dollar bills, y'all, and now he seems like he's playing scared, right? He is playing not to get hurt. I think he took out an $80 million insurance policy out on himself or something crazy. The point of the matter is if they do not play well versus the Baltimore Ravens, it is time to panic. They need to start ringing those bells very, very loudly. And if they do not play well versus the Giants the following week, it is time to fire sell that team. It is time to trade Jamar Chase. It is time to trade T. Higgins. It is time to maybe trade some of those defensive pieces. It is time to get some value out of those players, which you're not going to pay them. If you really wanted to pay Jamar Chase, you already got a deal done. It is time to rebuild. Probably start from the head up. Head coach, see ya. New receiver. Well, we'll get him in the draft. Defensive help. We'll get it. We'll get it in the draft. The point of the matter is, guys, the Bengals should not be as bad as they are. The Bengals should be 4-0 on this season. They should be. And they're not. They got physically beat by the Patriots. They got mentally beat by the Kansas City Chiefs. They got outplayed by the Commanders. And then they got beat by a 37-year-old quarterback by the name of Andy Dalton. They're going to get beat by the Ravens. They're going to probably get beat by the Giants. The Browns own them. I believe somebody said that Joe Burrow is 2-6 versus the Browns. Yet James said it. Guys, the Bengals are not good. Ever since that Super Bowl run, what have they done? Like legit, what have they done? I am pushing the panic alarms in Cincinnati right now. When they lost to the Patriots, I would have been pushing the panic alarm. When they got mentally outplayed by the Kansas City Chiefs, panic alarm. Outplayed by the Commanders, panic alarm. Even when even the win over the Carolina Panthers should have been pressing the panic alarm. Let's just be honest. Should have been pushing it. So, guys, is it time to panic in Cincinnati? I want you guys' opinions on it. Laura says the Panthers game was a struggle for the Bengals, though. It never should have been that close a game. It never should have. The Panthers are not good. Let's just be honest. I don't care if it's Andy Dalton or Bryce Young at quarterback. The Panthers are not good at all. The reason why they beat the Raiders, because quarterback, no film on him, yada, yada, yada. And, of course, Devontae Adams did not play that game, if I'm not mistaken. Should have never won that game. James says Joe Burrow is 2-6 against the Browns. Ouch. Matter of fact, does Joe Burrow have a losing record versus everybody in the AFC North? I feel like he does. Somebody fact check me on like on that. Where's CBS when I need them? If you know, you know. Jim says the Bengals, Sam White drove them in the dirt and they never recovered. That must have been early 70s. Laura says panic. Panic again. They should have been on notice of the first game of the season. Yeah. When you got beat by the Patriots, you should have known something was up. Granted, the first game of the season, they had no Jamar Chase. They had no T. Higgins. So I can give them that. Give them that pass, maybe. James says they're not beating the Browns anytime soon. James Frank says Kevin Stefanski is 11-2 versus cat teams. That's an interesting fact. Laura says they wasted all the time on Chase and let the rest of the team sink like a shit in the septic tank. So this is the problem with the Bengals, right? Tyler Boyd. I thought he was the glue that held that system together. He was the X factor on that team. With Tyler Boyd in the roster, T. Higgins was able to eat, Jamar Chase was able to eat, and Joe Mixon was able to eat. Tyler Boyd opened up everybody because he was there and he was going to be that dog to get you those tough, gritty yards, right? You let Tyler Boyd walk because he didn't have flashy stats. He didn't have stats that jumped out at you. He was kind of just like, we'll find somebody to replace him. And then you hangle this carrot in front of Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase did not approach ownership saying, I want a new deal. Ownership approached Jamar Chase saying, hey, let's get you a new deal. Let's get this done, right? Nothing was ever done. We saw CD get paid. We seen JJ get paid. And now Jamar's like, hey, you know what the market is. You know what I'm asking for. Just make it happen. You came to me. That instantly caused a rift among the whole team. When ownership comes to you and says, hey, I'm going to give you a raise, and that raise never comes through, that contract extension never comes through, that's going to piss me off. We all live in the real world. We all work an 8 to 5 job, 9 to 5 job, whatever you want to call it. If our boss, if the owner, the CEO of the company says, hey, I'm going to give you a raise, and 6 months pass, you never get that raise and never gets brought up again. Like, what? Like, why even say something if you're not going to do anything? But yeah, that's time to panic. 100%, James. 100%. James says, I think his record might be the same versus the Ravens. And Derek says the Bengals are going to bounce back. Let's say the Bengals do bounce back. Let's say somehow, some way, they beat the Ravens. Puts them at 2-3 this season. I don't see them sweeping the Ravens. I don't see them sweeping the Browns. I don't see them sweeping the Steelers either, right? So there's at least 3 more losses on your record this season. That puts you at 6 losses. Then you play the Giants. Then you play the Eagles, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Cowboys, Titans, Broncos to end the season. I probably see at least 2 more losses in those teams that I named off. Whether it's at the Cowboys on Monday Night Football, whether it's the Broncos, hell, it could be the Titans. Raiders always seem to step up. Eagles could get right. At best, you're looking at 9-8. Again. 9-8 again. Does that put you in the playoffs? No. Does that make you a Super Bowl caliber team? No. So they can bounce back and get 8-9 wins. Awesome. What does that do? Hurt you next year. It's time to fire the team. It's time to pluck the team. It is time to panic. Panic, panic, panic. Jamar said, I want one more penny than JJ's contract. And they couldn't do it. He ain't worth it. That's just saying. Who's not worth it? That Tyler Boyd isn't worth it, or Jamar Chase isn't worth it? That's who I'm curious, Laura. But CJ in Dallas says Dak is doing his thing, even with a garbage old line and no run game. He is. Dak is still a top 5 quarterback. We talked about that. Dak is a top 5 quarterback. Stop dogging my man Dak. And Derek says, you got me there. I mean, like, I'm not trying to get you by any stretch of the imagination, Derek. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of like the Cowboys, right? Yeah, the Cowboys might finish the season off 7 wins, 8 wins, potentially 9 wins. Might get hot and get 10 wins, right? But what does that do for you? Get you to the playoffs. You are not going to beat a top team, any team from the NFC North, whether it's the Vikings, Packers, or Lions. You're not going to beat the Bucks. The only chance you really got is if you face a NFC West team in the 49ers and the Seahawks, and as of late they both got your number. So really all you're doing is you're hurting your team for next year. You're hurting your draft pick. Let's just be honest. But Thursday Night Football is here, guys. It is time for me to get out of here. The little mans have got swimming lessons at 4 o'clock, so I got to get. But look at this shirt, guys. I'm straight from the hood. Fatherhood. That shirt is over at manhourradio.com, guys. Check out the merchandise page. Support us. Straight from the hood. And we're talking about fatherhood. Until next time, guys, we are out. Live, raw, uncut NFL talk every Monday through Friday, 2:30 East Coast time, right here on Facebook.com, of course, YouTube.com. Until then, we out.